Welcome to Rugby Chat for yet another year. Welcome to ODT Speight. I've got to call it Speight's Rugby Chat this week because I've actually got with the sponsor here, Snowy from Speight. He's here to talk about a pretty exciting competition he's got. And I've also got Doc here from Kaikorai. They've had a really bad season so far. I predicted they'd finish 9th in the comp. I was looking pretty good, but I see they won a game last week, and Doc's here to tell us about the turnaround in their fortunes and how they can go against the Sharks this weekend. So welcome along, lads. Look, Snowy, we might start with you. We might get this big competition up and out of the way first. And I know you've been talking about with us over the last couple of weeks, and we've sort of hinted about it in the paper, that you're looking to run a competition for the best volunteer from one of the clubs across the next few months.
Yeah, I think so, Dwyer. So it's just nice to be able to use this avenue to reward some good club people out there, male or female. So we just want a few nominations in and see what who those people are, and we'll give them a Speight's prize. We'll give them one of these jackets actually.
I've just looked at that jacket; it's quite flash.
It's a beauty, mate.
Absolute beauty.
Ripper.
Good for you'll be good.
Good branding on the back.
You'll look good in that, Doc.
Bit wrong size for me.
A bit small for you, that one.
It's my size, Doc, so you should be fine. But she'll keep them all on the sideline. I think. Remember when I was playing, you used to leave on a Saturday, and the change rooms would be a bloody absolute disgrace, and turn up on Tuesday and they're clean. And I never knew who cleaned those or who did it, and certainly didn't say thanks. And I think that's wrong. So those sort of people that are doing all that work and keeping those clubs alive, let's hear about them, and we'll try and get them a jacket for those that are worthy. Okay, and just remember, just back to the viewers, that you can go to info@speigts.co.nz to get your volunteers of the month up in. I'll also be promoting this on the Rugby Chat in their rugby column in the ODT on Friday. So look, Snowy, let's bring you. Doc, let's bring you in. Do we got a real name? Does anybody ever know what your real name is?
Mike.
Right. Well, just remember that. Do you know his name was
Doc
Mike?
will do.
No. Anyway, so let's talk about Kai. You've had a tough start to the year. Let's be honest. You won your first game on the weekend. You've been taking a lot of stick. People have said you should be replaced as club captain. We'll talk about that shortly. But so what's really been going on? I mean, you've just had a really tough start.
Yeah, had a tough start. Yeah, there's all the excuses you can get. We have had a lot of boys left, a lot of experience left. So there's a lot of young guys there, and just really you can make up all the excuses you want, but just if you're not playing to your potential, and that's about summed it up. The last couple of weeks, the boys have started to hit their straps, and I think we'll carry
come
on
right from here. So I was talking to who was I talking to? I was talking to Charlie 100 Games O'Connell at a wedding after your game against when you went close. You only went down by a point. And I said to Charlie, what happened there? And he said, they came out, they were barred up, their forwards tore into everything, their loose forwards, really kicked us in the guts, and they were unlucky not to win that game. So that was obviously a bit of self-belief for those young fellas.
Yeah, and it was interesting actually. We had a wee couple of drinks that evening, just to chew it over in the change shed, and the boys were actually, their lips were down that they lost. But I know it was a one-pointer against the defending champs, but they were genuinely brassed off. So. It was a good attitude I've seen in them, and I thought they were going to come out this week and do the damage, and they did. Okay, we'll talk about the rest of the club soon. Snow, I'll bring you back in, being a big Zingari man. So Zingari, I picked them to be in the top 4 this year. That might have been a wee bit adventurous. They kicked off with a bit of a hiss and a roar, but they've sort of come apart the last couple of weeks, and they lost to Pirates on Saturday. Yeah, to be fair, Dwyer, I'm sort of pretty out of the loop these days. I have seen a couple of games this year. I watched them play Dunedin, and I watched them play against Kaik actually, where they were lucky to get up. The Kaik boys were a bit unlucky there, but I think I've mentioned it before here, but the good clubs around are those with a bit of depth, and Zingari are probably, from what I hear, have had a couple of injuries of recent times. Well, I hear that Joe Ladder hasn't played, and I think the big Tom Rowe hasn't played either. And that'll hurt them because they're a big pack with those boys, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And I think that makes a huge difference to sides like that. And the teams that have done really well in the last few years have had good depth. And I know Tyree, for example, at the moment, talking to the lads at the office there, they've got 2 or 3 key players out, but they've been able to get guys that step up to the plate. So the Zingari guys will keep battling hard. They've got some good players there. Belly must be getting close to 200 now. Well, he's your favourite player, as we know, in club rugby. Yeah, he is easily. Now that Andrew Melville's gone, so right.
So yeah, he must be close to 200 if he's not
Well,
there yet.
I think he actually emails me on a half-hour basis to tell me how close he actually is.
Yeah, no. So he mustn't be too far. Warren Moffat mustn't be far away either. Actually, he's getting on.
I tell you what. Somebody rang me this morning. I'll bring you back in about Big Moff. Lee Ashton, another one of your bloody Kaikorai stalwarts, rang me this morning. He must have had a spare 60 hours in his life this week. So he's gone back and he said that he wanted to know if I knew when Moff scored his first try in club rugby, and I of course said, "You've got to be kidding me," as if I'd know that. But apparently it was 2001. So I'm just trying to work out when he started. If he scored his first try, then he probably was playing for 20 years before he scored a try. He might have been playing for 40 years.
Front row, he'd be 3 or 4 years before then anyway.
So, he must be close.
Yeah, Moff. I reckon at a guess that might have been his first or second year. I think he's a couple of years older than me possibly, but
Right.
how he still gets it done, I have no idea. I was pretty keen to give it away ages ago. So.
Well, I watched him on Saturday, and of course he doesn't do a lot, as you know. He turns up, he marshals the field, he talks to the other props in the other team, and then he beats them up, and then he says, "Right, you got that out of your system now, and we just move on and play the game, and the scrums will be pretty even."
Yeah, he was always a good one for that first scrum. We're just leading in today, are we, son? And I was always pretty keen to indulge in that. I wasn't keen to push too hard myself.
Well, he's a big man. So he went off at one stage, but he came back on. That might matter after. They didn't start him, but they still thrashed in Eden. Anyway, so look, so Zingari. Look, we'll come back to you, Doc. Look, I've been having much merriment in the paper. Taking pieces and giving stick to poor old Supercoach 4, Ryan Martin. What's he really doing, if anything, at Kaikorai?
He's chipping away all right. He runs a Tuesday night training. Obviously, he doesn't get to see the games on Saturday.
So he's still tied up with the Prems, obviously.
Yeah, he does a bit with the Tuesday night training, like I said. And the rest of the week, he's committed with his Otago boys team
Because they train 17 times a day.
They train often.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be too many coaches in Dunedin of any grades had 2 wins in the weekend, so
true.
His status is deserved. The boys all like him. He's here at Kaikorai, to be fair. I know there's a few clubs chasing him, but to be fair,
He went to the best club, obviously.
He did. Like there was lattes up at the Shield Hill thrown at him. There was.
I don't think anybody's ever had a latte at the Shield Hill,
Well,
but I may be wrong.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe you know otherwise. But and of course he might have been out in the Torrey Plains too to be lured
Well,
out there.
I've heard that's where he was going.
But however, he wanted to. Kaikorai suited what he wanted to do. He wanted a club to build. It's always tough when you go into a club that's already on the crest of the wave and
On the other side as Torres.
well as they appear to be heading.
Yeah.
So
So that's what he's doing. So he's there on a Tuesday, and obviously he can't be there on the weekends because the Otago boys have now started. And I see that I'll get you both to comment. They had a good win, but it was only against a Harbour side. They won by 40. Are they going to be a threat in this Colts competition?
I think they'll definitely be a threat. They'll be a well-drilled side, like Jimmy Collins Jr. said last week. They'll be fit. They'll play 80 minutes, and that's what they'll have it over.
He's not much of a judge, let's be honest.
No, he's a Colts coach.
And he's a supervisor at best.
Yeah. Super coach status.
Because I was going to speaking of super coach. I think he's super coach 3. Could be. No, he's super coach 2. Now he tried to tell me the other night that he's entering to get one of these flash Speight sheds on his property.
Yeah.
Because he thinks the local bar could be shutting down. He wants to set up his own bar on his property. So tell me about the Speight sheds and how Jimmy will go with getting that shed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a campaign we're running at the moment. So the shed, there's 10 of them to be won nationwide. I've seen the shed in action. It's absolutely magnificent. Built-in barbecue. There's a leader that comes out from inside. There's all sorts of things. There's a dartboard on one side of it. It's a pretty epic sort of a shed. So certainly, if people are out there keen to get amongst it, go to wewill.co.nz, put an entry in, and you never know. What I do know is Jimmy Collins Jr. probably won't be getting a shed.
Not even close.
Well, he's just the whole campaign's around We Will and helping out your mates and all that sort of thing. And to be fair, he's
not that guy.
Doesn't fit that bill. His old man would have a better shot than him actually.
Under his old man. Perhaps he should have been under Big Jim. Big Jim. He would be far better option for a shed.
Yep.
Big Hunter.
Very deserved.
Yeah.
Big Jim would be. I don't know where he'd put it though. He's got a pretty well set up where he is. But,
yeah, it's a pretty flash house. Well, there's too much money in real estate.
Have you got a hang of pigs? Is there anywhere to hang a pig in it, Snow?
I'm sure we could dock
place.
something up there for you. No worries at all. I'm sure you'll be looking for one, no doubt, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Right,
I've got my actually.
Right, so we'll come on to duck shooting because that's one of next. I think that's next week's story. But look, I just was looking at today. We've got to move on to a couple of other competitions we've got to run. But Marty Banks, I see, is going to play for Zingari. Now Zingari are playing Varsity this weekend. Marty Banks, how much difference will Marty Banks make to that Zingari side?
I think if, to be fair, at club level, if you put a good first five into any of those sides, they'll make a huge difference. And I think that may be one thing that Zingari are missing from last year, where they had Willie Reapier for the bulk of the season and wasn't a bad player. I would think he'd make a massive difference, and hopefully the guys all around him step up, which you tend to do if you've got someone of that sort of class playing with you. You want to be able to step up, and hopefully the boys can get one over the line, and see how they go, and just get a win and get back on the board.
Right, boys, we'll move on to the Form 15. We're making a change. I've been told by the cameraman that so if you lift up the forwards there, Snowy, we're going to make some changes and you guys can comment as we go. Actually, why don't you bang it on that stool there, mate, and we'll just... Okay, so Ricky Riccatelli's going because I'm pretty sure he doesn't even play club rugby here anymore. I think he might be gone from the competition. We're going to put Big Sam Sturgis in there in the front row. Craig Millie's still in.
Sturgy.
We're going to I couldn't find a lock. So I'm dropping, which locks am I dropping, boys? I'm going to drop, in fact, I'm dropping both locks. They're both gone. So Josh Larson's out, and so is Jamie Waller. I'm putting Jackson and Mopo in from Green Island, even though, in fact, I think he's been playing at 8, but he's a lock as far as I'm concerned.
That hasn't stopped you before.
No, it hasn't, to be fair. So we're going to go with Jackson, Mopo and Ben Whale. And unbelievably, I'm going to dump a Dunedin boy. This Matt Vyer's got to go from Dunedin. He's pretty good going forward. Not much good going backwards at this stage. We're going to put Charlie O'Connell, 100 games. Probably deserves a crack, lads.
Just 100.
Yeah, he's not a man I usually don't pump up his tyres. But
being the fact you've got to work with him.
Yeah, no, I think
he's well worth his day out. And on the backs, we might just move that over here, and we might put the backs up. There's only a couple of changes. I'm going to dump Ryan Tongia, funny enough, because he didn't play. I'm going to put in Josh Gordon, scored a nice try against Dunedin, and I'm going to drop Bryce Hosey because he played fullback in the weekend. I'm going to put one of your boys in. Now this kid, tell me about him, Doc. Just put it down there, mate. He's out of another one of these Otago boys.
Yep, we've got two of them on the side, and he's a young winger from down Otago boys last year, making good inroads. He's not getting that many opportunities, but when he does, he goes
good. Yep. Right, that's our Form 15. It was a bit of a disaster. I'll get that fixed for next week, lads. We better quickly move on. We've got to talk about we better quickly talk about the ODT Express comp, which is coming up. Just remember, from all those people that haven't entered yet, it's on next weekend. It's half time in the Sharks game down at the Greenhouse on Friday night, and I think Doc, I think all the teams in town have entered players, but right now we're still looking for country entries. So I'm hoping the country boys, I suppose, of course, being duck shooting weekend, we might be hard to get them into town. Yeah,
it would be. I'm just wondering how would like sort of Lawrence and Clyde go? Are they still allowed to put someone in?
No, look, I actually set the rules for the comp, and if they want to put people in, as far as I'm concerned, they're in. My two favourite teams.
Yep. Well, just talking about Matt Jones, he'll be lining up on Thursday night for a wee sprint off up at the Bishop Court on the high veld. He goes pretty quick.
He's pretty quick, isn't he?
Yeah, but I've seen a few quick roosters around already this season in the club scene. So
well, just be remembering it's got to be under 100 kg forward and an over 100 kg back, and it's not all about. Around. Sorry, over 100 kg forward, under 100 kg back, and just remember it's not all about speed. And there is some elements of skill,
yes.
and a bit more elements of skill than previously seen.
Is there going to be any controversy this year?
There will be, and I'm telling you that you'll see when you get to the end of the thing, it'll be a 3-ring circus. I can tell you that.
Okay.
And I'm the sole arbiter.
Of course you are.
Yeah. Righto, boys. We better quickly move on to the games this weekend. And we better run through them pretty quickly. So first game is, of course, Snowy, close to your heart, Uni at home, and they got a lot of players out varsity. They had 10 injuries, and now they've got 4 more have gone away to the some New Zealand varsities competition in Japan. So you've got Uni up against Zingari with Marty Banks playing. Do you give these boys a chance?
Yep, they'll get in.
They'll get it?
12 and under.
Right. What are you thinking?
Varsity got good depth there, but I'll go with the Dragons.
You go with the Dragons?
Yep, I will.
Okay, the big game this weekend, Doc, is Southern up against Torrey. And this will decide who goes top of the comp.
I just think Southern will have too many guns for them. They're I don't know, Ryan Tongi, I know you've dropped him from your Form 15. He's been outstanding for them, whether he's playing
He's not,
or not.
he's injured still. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They
still win?
They're too big and strong. They'll beat them up.
What do you think?
Club day, I think it's Southern on Saturday, so I'm sure they'll want to be able to get up for that. I'll take Southern. I'm going to cop abuse tomorrow at work for doing so.
Yep.
But I'm prepared to do that.
Right. And start with you, Dunedin Kaik.
Sharks.
Right. This is a big game for you. Can you
Kaik.
go 2 in a row?
Yeah, well, we've been the bogey team for Dunedin over the last couple of years, to be fair. The big winning streak that went on, we beat them the week before they started it, and we ended it 18 games later, so... I think the Demons get up, unfortunately for you guys.
Okay, but stay with you, Doc. The Onion are playing the Spannerheads.
The Onion.
Win?
Yeah.
Got the Onion?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And Harbour and Pirates?
Well, I see Chris Hart's on the whistle there, so...
anything could happen.
Anything could happen, so I'm going to take Pirates based on that.
Right.
Pirates are on a wee bit of a roll. They had a good win last week, obviously tipped up the Dragons, but I'll have to go Harbour out there, like I said last week. Worst place in New Zealand to play rugby.
The Lobster Pit. Now, just before I finish, I know we've got to wrap up, and I know we're well and truly over time, but it's been interesting, gentlemen. Doc, I just want to know. I know there's a bit of controversy last year about some clubs not sending their representatives in for a beer at your club rooms after the game. Is that happening this year?
Not as of yet, but there's the clubs in question we haven't really come across yet. I was going to say Dunedin Kaik, win, lose or draw, we'll go in for a beer. It's just the one or two that decide, the lip goes down and they
just don't turn up.
No, they just don't turn up. And I'd just like to say that I'm glad that doesn't operate in other businesses like banks and that.
Yeah.
If you decide not to go into your bank,
I don't want to take this rumour any further, but I am hearing that one of the people we're talking about, we won't name names, but he could well be the president of the Sharks. He's already said to me if they don't beat Kaik on Saturday, he's not even going into his own club room. So don't feel too miffed.
Jeez, yeah. Oh, well.
And just remember, just before I go, the big game this weekend, I think, is Southern versus Torrey. Look, it's really too tough to call. It could be a draw, but look. Take it to the bank. I think Southern win by 1, and we'll talk to you again next week.